Hi guys, it's Mishel, Deception Bytes, and I thought I would touch base with you guys because I haven't posted in a few days and there's been no new Q posts. I thought I would take a step back because I'm getting a little bit overwhelmed with everything that's been in the news, just everything. And there's been no new Q posts. I do want to reiterate that. No new Q posts since May 22nd. And the reason I want to reiterate that is because there are a bunch of yahoos on Twitter and everywhere else saying, tweeting and trying to disseminate false Q posts. Okay? They're false. Anything that's dated after May 22nd, which is the last time that Q posted, is false. Now, the other thing is, Q had said a long time ago something about 10 days of darkness. Maybe that's what we're in. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's 7 days. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and count. But, 22nd to the 29th, yeah, that's 7. 7 days. So, I don't know. I wish that he would post because there's so much disinformation happening out there. And I think that people, it's kind of like, when Jesus went up to the Garden of Gethsemane to pray, and he comes back and the disciples are all falling asleep, and he says, "Can't you watch with me 1 hour? Can't you, and it's kind of like that. It's like when the head is gone, everybody just kind of, not everybody. Now, that's an overstatement and an exaggeration, but a lot of people just kind of fall away and start listening to the naysayers and the people that seem to have all this inside information that they don't. So I wanted to say that it's getting discouraging to me right now. And so I wanted to kind of encourage you, even though I myself am a little less encouraged today. Not about Q, but about what I'm seeing in general. The Bible, and I know that not everyone that listens to this is a believer, and that's fine. We can agree to disagree, and we can still respect one another. You don't have to agree with all my views, but the Bible states that in the end, that men will call good evil, and they'll call evil good. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. It's the more wicked you are, the more you're praised by men. And I mean mankind by saying men. And it seems that the more you stand up and try to do the right thing, the more you're slammed and you're called wicked and racist and every other name they can attach to you. Now, what did Roseanne Barr do today that was any different than what that comedian did at the White House Correspondents' Dinner to Sarah Huckabee? What's the difference here? But Roseanne loses her show about it. I bet if Roseanne wasn't pro-Trump, nobody would have said anything. But she's pro-Trump, so she has to be racist. It's getting really discouraging. Not that I'm agreeing that Roseanne should, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with Roseanne. She is her own woman and she can speak her own mind. Now, what she said was no different than what I see said on Twitter every day. But she is unfortunately the scapegoat, and she's being made to suffer for what we all think and feel, what we all think, but we may not say. But meanwhile, Sarah Huckabee's called a liar. She's she was compared to Aunt Lydia on Handmaid's Tale. I mean, if you know anything about that character, that is a pretty, I don't know of anything that would be much worse than that. I mean, because her character, not talking about the person that's playing that role, but the role itself is not a good role. And so anyway, that is just, it's discouraging to see that. It's really discouraging. I read too about a teacher, and he's not being prosecuted, and nor is he being asked to resign his position as a teacher, but he had the entire class witness drowning raccoons. Yeah, he had a big rain barrel filled up with water, and he put raccoons in cages and then submerged the cage so they drowned in front of his class. But that's okay. That's okay. And they've ruled it okay because they said the raccoons didn't suffer. Well, you know something? I would think that if I was put in a cage and shoved underwater where I couldn't breathe and knew I was going to die, I would say that's a little bit of suffering. But regardless, he can still teach our children. How do you feel about that? Because I'm enraged. I'm enraged. So I know this has nothing to do with Q, but I'm just trying to let you know where I'm at right now. I'm just seeing everything that's happening, and it's discouraging. And going out and seeing all this disinformation out there and people believing it. And you know why they believe it? Because they're so used to being spoon-fed everything. So, you know, you can tell them that black is white and they'll say, okay. You can tell them that good is evil and they'll say, okay. That's just the way it is, and it's where we are. You know, I believe now, I as a child, I always wondered about, you know, there's a place in the Bible that says the day will come where they'll haul us into, you know, before the magistrate or whatever, and we'll be put to death, and they'll think that they're doing God a favor. Yeah. I can see that day coming. I really can. Anyway, I did want to address a couple things because of all the disinformation out there. I'm sorry, my cat is crying because she thinks she's hungry and she's not. All right. This whole thing about WikiLeaks, please. Everyone, because WikiLeaks says, while we suspect that the QAnon phenomena is likely 4chan trolls engaging in a live-action role-play version of the Delphic Oracle, it is also clear that many are aware of its manipulative potential and will usurp it if they have not already. Now, think about this. Think about it. Julian Assange doesn't have internet. He's been cut off from the public eye for how long? Quite a while. And so how is it that he's coming out with this stuff now? And he's talking about 4chan, and QAnon has not posted on 4chan since November 25th. November, December, January, February, March. 6 months. 6 months. So why is WikiLeaks so concerned with discrediting QAnon? And who is really controlling WikiLeaks' account now that Julian Assange has no control over it? Like, think, people. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not angry with you guys. I'm not angry with you guys at all, because I know that the people that listen to this channel, you know, can think for themselves, because I see the insightful things that you leave in the comments. So I'm not upset with you, and I apologize if I'm coming across that way, but I am upset. Because really, like, think, people. I don't get it. Why are so many people jumping ship because of this when they know that Julian Assange has no control over his own account? I don't know. I really don't get it. And here's a post by Q, and it was on May 22nd, and he said he reaffirmed his identity. And he said, attacks anticipated. Attacks will intensify all sides. And we are being attacked on all sides. And the people that are supposedly with us, some are not. Some are, you know, wolves in sheep's clothing. They look like patriots. They're not. So just be careful. Be careful who you're listening to. And I'm not saying, you know, oh, you should be listening to me. No, you should, everything I say to you, you should be questioning. Because if you're not, that's foolish. I don't get things right all the time, and you guys of all people should know that, because people correct me on here, and I'm thankful for that. I would rather be corrected than have false information go out. So, and here's this. Do the math. Awakening ignorance. WikiLeaks minus, like, awakening is great, results in greater, less, no, hang on. Awakening, I don't know, that's a greater than sign. Oh, awakening is greater than ignorance. Okay, duh. I told you it's been a rough day. I'm sitting here with a big old glass of tomato juice. And you know something? When did they start watering down tomato juice? Because this does not taste like the tomato juice of old. They've even monked with the tomato juice. Okay, WikiLeaks minus Assange equals not WikiLeaks, right? If you take away Assange from WikiLeaks, what is it? Assange is WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks divided by CIA equals Clown Town. I like whoever did this meme, they did a good job. I, had a little bit of trouble reading this part, but that's my fault, not theirs. QAnon plus critical thinking equals awakening. Awakening equals seeing through the deep state narrative. Awakening plus masses equals liberation. Liberation equals restoration of the republic. Liberation minus deep state equals freedom society, freedom in society. A free awakened people, deep state cabal. Deep is greater than a deep state cabal. Yeah. Well, math's not my mainstay. Okay, now I found this on Twitter by a guy. Oh, what's his? I think he goes by Swamp Drainer, and I like this. Is Q real, fake, psyop, AI? How do you inform citizens of critical truths when fake news dominates? Now, these are all things to think about. Because people are like, oh yeah, well, would he be posting on the 8chan board? Wouldn't he find a better way to communicate? Well, how do you do that when all of our news outlets, our newspapers, everything is dominated by the deep state? How do you do that? How do you get the truth out? How was this accomplished during the Trump campaign? Well, he used Twitter. And that's what he did. He informed people, and people spread his message. That's what he did. How could a trickster control Twitter accounts of POTUS? Well, that's a good question. If this is a LARP, how come there's all this coordination between POTUS and Q? Why are all the posts, not all of them, but why are there a good many posts that coordinate perfectly? How is that? How could someone that was performing a LARP control the Twitter account of POTUS? Don't know. Control Twitter accounts of the Trump family, the Department of Defense, the Navy, the Army, the Marines. Oh yeah, there's been lots of confirmation between Q and posts of the Trump family, DOD, Navy, Army, Marine, etc. How does that happen? How could a trickster post photos, video of Asia trip before POTUS tweeted them? Things that make you go, Now, I know that you guys probably don't need this. Maybe you do. Maybe you need a little just refresher to say, yeah, you know what? This probably is the real deal. But maybe someone you know is doubting, and you could pass this on to them. I'm just saying that, it may not be needed for you, but there is so much disinformation happening and so many people jumping ship right now. It's alarming. So how did a trickster produce 18,500 sealed indictments in 6 months? Yeah, how did he do that? Wow, that LARPer, he's quite the guy, man. He's something. How did the Twixter get almost 1,600 people to resign from high-level positions in 5 months. What are the odds? I would say they would have to be pretty astronomical. Do you know what I would say the odds are? The odds of a trickster getting 1,600 people to resign from high-level positions in 5 months is about the same as me placing many cans of paint in a room and going away and coming back to find that they've painted the Mona Lisa. That's what I would say the odds are about equal to. Over 100 coincidences. Count them all. Why would our enemies conduct a psyop to give us hope when we had practically given up? Now that's a good question, isn't it? And many people had just about given up on the country because after Obama left, I think everyone was just so demoralized. They saw the state that our country was in, and it was like, okay, there's no hope. So why would a psyop want to give us hope? Why would they want to do that? Why would our enemies encourage us to fight, fight, fight? That's a good question. If you had an enemy that was against you, would you encourage them to keep fighting against you? Oh, come on, fight against me, punch me harder, hit me in the head. No, come on, really do it. It's a little ridiculous if you ask me. Why would our enemies spend decades lulling us to sleep only to wake us up to their evil deeds? Well, that's a good question too. Why would they do that? I mean, their deeds were... Now, we've been talking about all this a long time. I have, and probably you have as well, about these things. We kind of knew they were going on, but now that it's pulled out in the open, why would they want to do that? When they could have just kept pointing and saying, oh, come on, you're a conspiracy theorist. That's ridiculous. You know, there are no Satanists. This stuff isn't happening. There's no children disappearing. Why would our enemies attack the credibility of Q and Q followers if it was just a psyop? Well, that's a good question too. Why would they do that? I mean, you know, let people believe what they want, right? Okay, well, if you want to believe in Q, fine. I believe in the Easter Bunny. You know, seriously. I mean, people, really, the normal thing would be to just, pat us on the head and go, okay, well, if it makes you happy, you believe that. But no, they just vehemently attack the credibility of Q and his followers, his, her, they. Create confusion? Who creates confusion? Is it Q creating the confusion? I don't think so. I think when Q posts that the confusion is dissipated. I don't see Q bringing any confusion at all. I see those that are attacking Q bringing the confusion and trying to divide the movement. Because I'll tell you one thing, it's not Q that's going to save the Republic. Q's not going to save the Republic. We are. All of us. When we realize that together we're strong. Together we have the answers. Together we can fight this. But they want to divide us. They want us divided because they don't realize how much power, because they realize how much power the people have. There's few of them. There's many of us. So, yeah, they want to divide us, and they want to do that by attacking the credibility of Q. But so what? Okay, let's just say that Q is a psyop. Well, haven't a lot of good things come out of it? You've got to look at the fruit. Lots of good things have come out of it. A lot of evil deeds have been exposed. People have come together. People have had a pride in their country again. And I see people coming together, patriots coming together, and not worrying about our differences so much, our skin color or whatever. whatever stupid thing that we've let them divide us over. So, if going to this much trouble to deceive people, why not encourage the delusion? Well, that's true, right? If they want to deceive people, why wouldn't they just encourage that delusion? I mean, if none of it was real and none of this stuff was coming out and none of these people were being brought to justice and none of these pedophiles were being caught and these, pedophilia rings and so forth were being caught, why not just encourage the delusion? Because we would busy ourselves while they went about their evil deeds, right? It would be like our babysitter. We'd sit in front of Q and Q would tell us wonderful stories and they'd be off doing their stuff, right? Wouldn't that make sense? They would encourage us to go along with it. But that's not the case because the truth is coming out. They don't want the truth out. Use logic. Why would the enemy call out the Federal Reserve banks across the globe? That's a good question, isn't it? Why would the enemy want us digging in their financials? Net worth, slush funds, foundations, GOP and Dem politicians, voter fraud. Why would the enemy imply Merkel was a Nazi? Why would the enemy point out communist agents? Why would the enemy want us to expose North Korea, 911, Saudi Arabia, the Vatican, Soros, Rothschilds? Why would the enemy want us to know about their secret perversions, pedophilia, Luciferian cults? And lastly, he says, why would the enemy praise President Trump? Right. So I think that we can see what's happening here. And I think for the most part, we always have. At least since Q has been posting, we've seen this time and time again, that there's disinfo agents. I just think it surprised us when we found out that that Judas was of our household. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Now this is something I found from the Great Awakening board on Reddit. And I copied it because I think, again, that this is encouraging because it's challenging us to think about things a little bit differently. And see, I'm getting myself happy here because I'm reading this and I'm getting out some of the news that's been in my head all day and dragging me down. So, promises made, promises kept. Q. It's not a PSYOP roundup at all. It's Donald J. Trump and Q leveraging the power of the people. Q keeps telling us how powerful we are. He's right. Think, who is it that is going to take down the cabal for good? It's not Q or Donald J. Trump. It's us. It's awoken populace that the Satanists fear most. They will not be able to walk down the street. Isn't that what Q said? Which makes me wonder about Hillary Clinton because wherever she's been seen in public lately, she's got that coat on or something that's covering up. Like she's got something underneath there. I don't know whether it's a bulletproof vest. I don't know whether it's some sort of a brace because she's not, gosh, people out there being very, very loud. I hope you can't hear them. There's people... that wonder if it's a brace of some sort. But anyway, I don't know what it is, but there will be a time where they're not able to walk down the street. Of course, the way we will beat them is by removing the apparatus of social control. By what do I mean? But what do I mean? We are controlled by a manufactured narrative. Now, we know that. We live in a contrived reality as a result. The instruments of the cabal's control are the mainstream media and the ability to censor, to censor, small, I don't know what that stands for. Social media, sorry, I'm telling you, I'm just not on the ball today. Okay, and the ability to censor social media. One of the two mechanisms, social media, is by far more powerful, and that's true. Social media is far more powerful than the news. It really is. And one tweet can go viral and everybody sees it. How do we break free? Q told us. The IBOR campaign. Once the cabal loses control of social media, their narrative control is destroyed. They will not be able to hide their crimes, put their puppets in powers, or walk down the street. How can you tell if I'm right? Watch for the concern trolls, like buzzards on a carcass. They show you where the meat is, and guess what they're trolling? The IBOR. What is IBOR? The Internet Bill of Rights. Yeah. So, and you know something? It's interesting. I wanted to share this with you guys because right after the whole Corsi thing, I started getting these emails, and they're all the same. That's how I know that they're coming from the clowns, really, because they're all the same. Oh, Mishel, I really like what you're doing and what you're saying, and oh, you're so intelligent and you're funny and la la la, and I just don't want you to be embarrassed when you find out that Q is a LARP. They're all the same. They all do that. They try to praise you and pet you, and it's like, oh, you're my favorite person to watch. That's why I wanted to be sure to make you aware of and then they'll post links to anti-school and people like that are against Q. And this is happening. They all follow the same format. They all do. And it's like, as soon as I read it, my eyes start to roll because I'm like, give me a break. You really must think. You must have mistaken me for someone stupid. So, yeah, it's happening a lot. And it's still happening. And I'm like, oh, come on. Really? But anyway, I wanted to just touch base with you guys because I hadn't posted, and I want you to still know. People I know worry, and they think I get emails, are you all right? And why haven't you posted? And I understand why that is. But so I just wanted to touch base and hopefully encourage those of you who are discouraged in all this, as I am, but not with Q. So anyway, I will probably be back with more. Well, not probably. I will be back with more because I have some more stuff that needs to get out. So I'll talk to you guys later. I hope you're having a good day. Stay safe.